Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Weekly Download. I am Mitchell Doomlau, and hopefully you're having a fantastic week and a fantastic weekend. And thanks again for watching the Weekly Download. I really do appreciate you for always tuning in, and I really hope that this is going to be a helpful one for you because these are for all the people out there who direct videos remotely. That's right, directing videos remotely. Now, everyone these days has to deal with COVID restrictions and also just dealing with international clients or domestic clients or people who are not in your local area and using Zoom or video chats for you to direct remotely. So I remember when I was shooting videos remotely back in 2020, I did a whole short film festival and project with HBO. And what we did is that we used a software where I was able to actually control someone's phone camera and a computer camera from where I was. So there was a software that I would have them download, and then they would actually put that on their phone or on their camera on the computer, and I can actually control the ISO, shutter speed, and the aperture. But since people don't have $10,000, this is how I usually do it. Is I use Zoom, and I actually have the client ship out the camera, a 4K camera, to the interviewees. And then what I do is that I create a video that goes through the whole steps on how to set up the camera, how to use the camera for streaming on Zoom so I can actually see their angle, and then actually how to disconnect it and then set up the mic. So it's a kind of a long process, and I've learned very much the hard way how to not do it incorrectly because I'm actually dealing with it right now, and it's really annoying. So the top 3 mistakes that I've gone through that's going to help you prevent this from happening with your clients is that the first one is not testing out the camera equipment before you're sending it to the client. So sometimes we can just use a Zoom webcam, and people are just, they have their phone. Sometimes their phones look pretty good, right? You can use an iPhone 13 and the selfie cam is pretty great quality. But some folks just have, a Chromebook or a old laptop, and they just don't have the great camera. So some clients like to, send out a camera package from Amazon. And when that's done, it's usually hard for people who aren't videographers to figure out a camera. So what you have to do is that if you are sending out video cameras and mics to people, is you need to test out the equipment. I messed up because I didn't test out the mic, and I thought that the camera and the mic should go together, right? But the mic didn't have a battery, so it didn't have a preamp, and the quality of the audio was bad. So the best thing to do is always test out the equipment beforehand, and also to create a guide or a tutorial on video to help your client and the interviewees out. And so I have the clients ship me all the cameras and mics and ring lights and tripods that I'll be using, and I'll be sending to the interviewees, and I'll test it all out, make sure everything sounds good and it looks good, and then create a video out of it so that people can watch it. And now number 2 is not specifying the aspect ratio. And so sometimes when you send out a camera and people aren't available, they'll just shoot it on their own time, and they'll sometimes shoot it on their phone, and they'll shoot it vertically, or they will shoot it in a way that is like in a 4:3, right? And some cameras do that. And so you really need to specify what kind of aspect ratio you're going to be filming in. I know it sounds pretty self-explanatory to all of you filmmakers and DPs, camera ops, and videographers out there, but some people have no idea what 16:9 is or what 9:16 is. All they see is square, vertical, portrait, and horizontal. And so you really need to make sure that when you send out equipment, you show them how to create a 16:9 by 9 aspect ratio, just in case, and also that your resolution isn't 720 or 480, that it's at 1080 or 4K. And also when you're recording on Zoom, sometimes Zoom doesn't have the full aspect ratio. It actually crops it to 4:3. And so you got to be mindful of that when you are recording via Zoom, because they can have a great camera and they plug it into Zoom as a webcam, but when you're recording it through Zoom, it actually gets recorded and streams in 4:3. And so keep that in mind when you are recording through Zoom. And that's actually the last one is the how to record it. You really have to figure out, how they're going to record it. Are you going to record it through Zoom, as in you will record it while you are on a Zoom call, and they plug in the camera as in the USB as a webcam? Or are you going to have them record it remotely, as in you set up the video as a webcam on their end, right? So you send them the camera, you send them the tutorial. They set up the camera according to your tutorial. They plug it into the computer. We log into Zoom. Now you can see the point of view from their camera. Set them up so that the lighting is good, background is good. From this point, you can either have them use a laptop that you can use to direct them, and they can unplug their camera so they can press record and then record into the HD, which is much better. Or if you want to keep it easy, they can actually record locally. You can have that option in Zoom so that they can actually record their files using their webcam as a DSLR or whatever 4K camera or camera you sent them, and the Zoom will actually record those files locally. And so you have to know how you're going to record these files, because sometimes the resolution will be off, because if they don't click on certain check boxes on their end, it'll come to you in standard def. And if you don't check boxes on your end, it might come to you as standard def. You have to be HD recording. I have a whole video on this on my YouTube channel on how to record in HD and high quality on Zoom. And this is a big problem, because when you're recording remotely, they don't know what they're doing on the other end, and sometimes they're just following you. And so you got to make sure that they're recording either locally, and you got to set up their Zoom for that. Or if they're recording to the camera, you got to make sure that they know, if it's a 4K, 24 frames per second, is it going to be MOV, MP4, AVHD, right? So it gets confusing for folks who aren't camera people, and at the same time, trying to make sure that they feel comfortable when they're on camera, not fiddling around with the tech and getting them nervous. Okay, so those are the 3 top mistakes that I've learned: is really not testing out the equipment, not specifying the aspect ratio, and also it's the recording of everything. How are you going to record the video so it's high quality? And the bonus one is Wi-Fi problems. You just cannot depend that everybody has great Wi-Fi. And when you are recording on Zoom, sometimes there are glitches. And so I prefer to record locally, and also having them record straight to the camera in SD. All right. So hopefully this was helpful. This is based on some mistakes that I've been through recently, especially today, where I had to deal with camera issues, and it's been a headache. And so I want to prevent y'all from having to deal with that whenever you have to direct people remotely. All right. Thanks again for watching the weekly download. I appreciate you for always being here. I'll be here again next Monday. And if you have any questions, leave a comment below or email me at mitchell@videcontentschool.com. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you.